My name is Anna Volkova. I am 33 years old and nothing in life can prepare you for finding your daughter alone, on her knees, scrubbing the floor. My career in marketing often takes me away, but returning home early that day changed everything. My sweet 9-year-old Masha trembled as I walked in. My husband's family never fully accepted her after I married Sergey. They took their real granddaughter to an amusement park, leaving my daughter alone. What happened next changed our family forever. I've always been a career woman, making my way in digital marketing while trying to be a mother. But make no mistake, Masha has always been my top priority. I introduced my heart, which walks outside my body, to Sergey Orlov 7 years ago at a barbecue at a friend's dacha. Masha was only 2 years old then, a curly-haired angel who conquered everyone's hearts, including Sergey's. From the very first day, he sat on the floor to play with her. He read her fairy tales in funny voices and never showed that she was a stranger to him because she was not his biological daughter. Masha came into my life as a result of tragedy. My cousin Svetlana was my best friend since childhood. When she and her husband died in a terrible car accident, their daughter Masha was left with no one. I was 24, alone and scared, but I knew I had to take on this responsibility. The adoption process was emotionally difficult, but necessary. Masha deserved stability and love, and I vowed to give her both for the rest of my life. When Sergey proposed to me a year after we met, he so sweetly included Masha in it. He got down on one knee with 2 rings, one for me and a small heart-shaped necklace for Masha, and he asked if we would both do him the honor of becoming his family. After the wedding, Sergey officially adopted Masha, and on paper and in our hearts we became a full-fledged family. That was when I first met Pyotr and Alina Orlov, Sergey's parents. At first, they seemed quite nice, if a little reserved. They brought Masha presents, but their smiles didn't reach their eyes when they hugged her. I chalked it up to them needing time to get used to our instant family. What a pretty girl, Alina noticed then, studying Masha's features. True, it doesn't sound like any of you, does it? That comment stung, but Sergey quickly explained that Masha was adopted, and I was grateful for the way he said it, matter-of-factly, without apology or qualification. Then there was Mikhail, Sergey's younger brother, and his daughter Lisa. Coincidentally, Lisa was also 9 years old. At first, the cousins got along well, playing together at family gatherings, but soon she began to notice certain patterns. Grandma and Grandpa would bring 2 gifts, but Lisa's was always bigger or more expensive. They would take pictures with both girls, but only the ones with Lisa would be posted on social media. When Masha spoke, Alina sometimes pretended not to hear, but she caught every word Lisa said. Sergey noticed this, too. After a particularly revealing New Year, when Lisa got a tablet and Masha got books and coloring books, he talked to his parents alone. "Masha is my daughter," he told them firmly. "I demand that you treat her with the same love and attention as you did Lisa." They denied any prejudice. "Of course, son, you are too sensitive," Peter waved it off. "We love both girls equally." But nothing changed. At birthday parties, they asked Lisa about school, but not Masha. Small things, perhaps, but they accumulated like tiny cuts on Masha's sense of belonging. "Why does Grandma Lena invite me to bake cookies like Lisa?" Masha asked quietly one day. I didn't have a good answer. This fragile family ecosystem was what made my recent business trip difficult. I had been postponing this conference in Novosibirsk for months, but my boss had made it clear that my presence was necessary. Sergey assured me that he would take care of everything. Everything was planned perfectly until it fell apart. 2 days before my departure, Sergey received a call from his company's Yekaterinburg office. A major client was threatening to cancel the contract, and Sergey's presence as a senior account manager was needed immediately. We rushed to find childcare options, and then Sergey suggested his parents. They asked to spend more time with Masha, he reasoned. It could be good for their relationship. I hesitated, remembering all those moments of favoritism. "I don't know, Sergey, maybe my mother will fly in from Sochi." "She just had knee surgery," Sergey reminded. Look, I know my parents aren't perfect, but they can look after a child. It's only for 3 days, and I'll be back before you are. Reluctantly, I agreed. The morning I left, Peter and Alina came to us with overnight bags. We have everything under control, Alina assured me, barely looking up from her phone. We raised 2 sons, and with one little girl we can handle it playfully. I knelt down in front of Masha. Be a good girl for Grandma and Grandpa. Okay, I'll call every night, and Daddy will be back in 3 days. Masha nodded bravely, though I could see the uncertainty in her eyes. I'll be fine, Mommy. I'll help around the house and all that. You don't have to worry about business, honey. Just be a child and have fun, I said, hugging her tightly. I love you more than all the stars in the sky. I'll follow you to the moon and back, she whispered, our usual farewell phrase. My meetings in Novosibirsk followed one another, but every evening I found time for a video call to Masha. On the first night, she was fine, if a little quiet. She said they had spaghetti for dinner and then watched a movie. Are you having fun with your grandparents? I asked. Okay, on my shoulders, I guess. Grandma made me clean up my toys twice, said I was a slob. I frowned slightly. Masha was actually very careful for a 9-year-old girl. Well, remember, while they're there, their rules apply. Only 2 more days, my dear. On the second night, our conversation was shorter. Instead of Masha, Piotr answered, saying that she was finishing dinner and was calling, but the call never came. When I tried to call again before bed, an irritated Alina answered. Masha is already asleep. She is too tired from playing all day. Let her call you tomorrow. Something was wrong, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Later, Sergei called and said his meetings in Yekaterinburg were running late. My parents wouldn't mind staying another day, he said. I have to come back the day after tomorrow, and you the day after. On the 3rd day of my trip, something unexpected happened. The client we were courting decided to sign the contract early, canceling our last 2 days of meetings. Suddenly, I had the opportunity to fly home early. Are you sure you don't want to stay and see the city? My colleague asked, but all I could think about was getting back to Masha. The short and awkward conversations with my in-laws left me feeling anxious. I booked the first available flight, deciding not to tell anyone that I was returning early. I would surprise Masha and free my in-laws early. During the flight, I felt increasingly anxious. I tried to call home from the airport after landing, but no one answered. I sent Sergei a message that I was flying home. Great, he replied. Still stuck in Yekaterinburg. Client issues were more complicated than expected. I love you both. As I drove from the airport, I felt a growing sense of anticipation mixed with an inexplicable fear. I chalked it up to travel fatigue and maternal guilt for leaving. I couldn't wait to see Masha's face when I walked in the door unexpectedly. I imagined her squeals of delight, her hugs, the stream of stories she would want to tell me all at once. But when I drove into our neighborhood, I noticed something strange. Piotr and Alina's car was not at the entrance. It was Thursday afternoon. Where could he and Masha have gone? Maybe to the park or for ice cream? And yet, something was wrong. I parked, grabbed my luggage, and headed for the door. Our apartment seemed unusually quiet to me when I walked in. Hi, Masha, is anyone home? I called, putting my bags down in the hallway. The silence that greeted me chilled me to the bone. I walked through the rooms, calling Masha louder and louder. The living room was empty, although I noticed Masha's favorite plush bunny throne on the floor. This was unusual. She rarely went anywhere without it. The dining room showed signs of a hasty lunch. Masha, I called again, and my voice echoed through the quiet apartment, and then I heard it. A soft sound from the kitchen, a quiet sob, followed by the distinct sound of a scrubbing brush. I ran towards the noise, my heart pounding. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I walked into the kitchen. Masha was kneeling on the cold tile floor, a large brush in her small hands, furiously scrubbing the white tiles. A bucket of soapy water stood nearby. Her face was covered in dried tears, her curls were wet with sweat. She was wearing the same clothes I had seen her in during our brief video call the night before. She didn't notice me at first, so focused was she on a single spot on the floor. I stood frozen in the doorway, trying to process what I had seen. "Masha," I finally managed, my voice barely audible. She shook the brush. It fell to the floor with a thud as her head snapped around. For a split second, fear flashed across her face, the likes of which I had never seen before she recognized me. "Mommy." Her voice was quiet, uncertain, as if she couldn't believe I was really here. I crossed the kitchen in 3 steps and knelt down next to her, not caring that my pants were soaking through the soapy water. "Honey, what are you doing? Where are Grandma and Grandpa?" Masha's lower lip trembled, fresh tears welled up in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Mommy. I spilled some grape juice this morning and made a big mess. Grandma said I needed to learn propriety, so I had to wash the entire kitchen floor before they got back." My blood ran cold. "The entire floor? Masha, where did they go?" She looked down, her small shoulders slumping. "They took Lisa to a fairy tale world. It's an amusement park with big roller coasters. They left you here alone." I tried my best to remain calm, even as the rage grew inside me. Masha nodded. "Grandma said I wouldn't appreciate it as much as Lisa. She said Lisa deserved special treats because she was their real granddaughter." Her voice broke on the last words, and my heart broke with it. I pulled her close, feeling her small body tremble. "How long have you been alone, dear?" "Since breakfast," she whispered against my shoulder. "Grandma said they'd be back for dinner, and the floor had to be shiny by then or I wouldn't get dessert. And I had to think about why I was so clumsy all the time. For hours. They left my 9-year-old daughter alone for hours on her knees scrubbing floors while they took their real granddaughter to an amusement park. I felt physically ill. "Has this happened before? Have they left you alone?" I asked, trying to keep my voice level. Masha paused, then nodded. "They went shopping with Lisa yesterday. They said I couldn't go because I was whining too much from boredom." They were gone for a long time. I was scared. I closed my eyes, holding back tears of rage and guilt. "What else happened while I was gone, Masha? You can tell me everything." "I promise I won't be mad at you." Her story came in snatches. How Lisa was given new toys while Masha watched. How Masha was forced to help with the housework, wash dishes, dust, clean up while Lisa played. How Lisa played. How Alina repeatedly said that Masha was not really a member of the family, that she did not have Orlov blood. "Grandma said I should be grateful that you and Dad took me in because no one else needed me," Masha said in such a matter-of-fact tone that it was clear. She believed it. She said, "I was lucky because I could have ended up in an orphanage." Every word was like a knife in the heart. I hugged Masha tighter, rocking her gently. "Listen to me very carefully, Maria Sergeyevna Orlova. You're not lucky that we took you in. We're lucky. Every single day I thank fate that I'm your mom. You are the dearest, most important person in my life, and I am so sorry that this happened." "Aren't you mad at me for the juice?" she asked quietly. "Of course not. It's just the way it is. Everyone spills things sometimes," I assured her, pushing back her damp curls. "No one should ever make you scrub an entire floor as punishment, and no one should ever leave you alone. They were the ones who did wrong, not you." I helped Masha up, noticing for the first time how exhausted she looked. There were angry red marks on her knees from standing on the hard floor for so long, and her hands were wrinkled and red from the cleaning product. "Let's get you cleaned up, and then we'll go get some ice cream," I said firmly, leading her into the bathroom. As I helped her wash up, my mind was racing, full of rage and plans. "I'm going to get into trouble with Grandma when they get back," Masha asked as I applied lotion to her chapped hands. "No, honey, you won't get into trouble with anyone," I said firmly. "But Grandma and Grandpa are going to get into trouble with me." After the ice cream, I tried to call Sergi again, but it went to voicemail. Instead, I sent a message. "Call urgently. An emergency with your parents and Masha." At home, I filled Masha's bubble bath, and while she played, I walked down the hallway with the phone in my hand. When Sergi finally called back, his voice was tense with worry. "What happened? Is Masha okay?" I walked into our bedroom, closed the door, and spilled everything about finding Masha alone, about cleaning, the amusement park, everything. Sergei's initial disbelief quickly turned to horror, then rage. They left her alone for hours. His voice rose with each word. And they told her things like that she wasn't a real family. Yes, I confirmed. Sergei, that's not favoritism, that's emotional abuse. And leaving a 9-year-old alone for a few hours is neglect, maybe even a criminal offense. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then I go home, take the next flight. What about your client? To hell with the client, Sergei said with a fury I've rarely heard from him. My daughter comes first. Always. The word daughter is not stepdaughter, not your daughter, but simply daughter. Something warmed my chest, even in the midst of anger and pain. Sergei, I said carefully, we need to decide what to do before they come back. They're coming for dinner, and I'm not going to let them just walk in like nothing happened. I want them out of our house, Sergei said immediately. And I never want to leave them alone with Masha again. I agree, I said with relief, but we need to be strategic. I don't want to make a scene in front of Masha or Lisa. We discussed the options and finally settled on a plan. Sergei would try to return as soon as possible, and in the meantime I would deal with his parents calmly but firmly. They would be told to pack their things and leave. Their unsupervised access to Masha would be permanently cut off. After the bath, I helped Masha put on her favorite pajamas, even though it was only evening. What she needed now was comfort, not the right outfit for dinner. We settled on the couch, and I explained in a way that was age-appropriate for her what was going to happen next. Grandma and Grandpa made a really bad choice, I told her. A choice that means they can't be trusted to take care of you, so they won't be staying here anymore. Masha looked at me with wide eyes. Are they going to get in trouble? Yes, honestly, I said, very badly. What they did was wrong and there are consequences for it. Will I see Lisa again? She asked quietly. My heart sank. Despite everything, she was worried about losing her cousin. Of course you will. Lisa is not guilty of anything, and neither are you. This is all about the behavior of adults, not you. Dinner time was approaching. Soon the in-laws would return with Lisa, and I had to be ready. I asked Masha to play in my room, promising to call her later. When I closed the door behind her, I heard a car drive into the yard. I squared my shoulders and walked downstairs to meet them. Whatever happened next, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. No one would ever make my daughter feel unwelcome in her own home again. The front door swung open to a burst of laughter. Elena was the first to enter, carrying bags adorned with the park and Fairytale World logo. Behind her came Piotr, carrying a tired Lisa on his shoulders. None of them noticed me until I coughed. Anna, oh my God, you scared me. What are you doing at home? Where is Masha? Asked Piotr, looking around. Masha is upstairs, I asked, my voice even despite the rage raging inside me. She was resting after 4 hours of scrubbing the kitchen floor alone in an empty house. Elena's face twitched for a moment, but then turned into a defensive grimace. Oh, don't be so dramatic. She made a mess and she needed to clean it up. It's called teaching responsibility. Responsibility, I repeated. You call it teaching responsibility to leave a 9-year-old alone for a few hours while you went to an amusement park. Piotr stepped forward. Anna, it wasn't like that. Masha was being difficult this morning, throwing a tantrum over juice. She needed some quiet time to think about her behavior. Hysterics, I asked. Masha told me that she accidentally spilled the juice and immediately apologized. Well, that's what she would have said, wouldn't she? Elena snorted. I've noticed that she tends to bend the truth when it suits her. Not like our Lisa. The casual cruelty of that comparison made my blood boil, but I kept my composure. Regardless of what happened with the juice, you left a 9-year-old child alone. Do you realize that legally that is considered neglect? I could call child protection right now. That got their attention. Peter's face paled slightly and Elena's eyes narrowed. You wouldn't dare, she whispered. We've only been gone a few hours and Masha is perfectly fine. I'm not hysterical, I replied. I'm a mother. A mother who came home to find her daughter alone, scared, on her knees, scrubbing the floor, being told she wasn't really part of this family. Peter, at least, was embarrassed. "We never said that." "Well, we did. Masha told me that you both told her many times that she had no Orlov blood in her, and that she should be grateful that we took her, because no one else needed her." Alina rolled her eyes. "Kids exaggerate, and besides, it's just a fact that she's not related by blood." "We never hid it." At that moment my phone rang. It was Sergey. I answered and immediately turned on the speakerphone. "Sergey," Alina's voice immediately became honey-sweet. "Your wife is making ridiculous accusations. We took great care of Masha, but you know how difficult she can be. We just had to punish her today for her bad behavior." Leaving her alone for a few hours while Lisa was taken into the fairytale world, Sergey's voice rasped through the speaker, tense with suppressed anger. "She needed to learn her lesson," Peter defended himself. "What's wrong with that?" "The bad thing," Sergey said slowly, "is that you abandoned my daughter, you neglected her. You made her feel unwanted in her own home and family." "Oh, please," Alina chuckled. "She's too sensitive, just like her mother." "To be honest, Sergey, I don't know what you expected. There's no blood, after all. It's only natural that Lisa and I have a special connection." There was a dead silence in the room. Even Alina seemed to realize that she had gone too far. "What did you just say?" Sergey's voice was dangerously quiet. "I just meant," Alina began, but Sergey interrupted her. "I understood perfectly well what you meant, Mom, and this is unacceptable. Masha is my daughter, not a stepdaughter, not adopted, but my daughter. If you can't treat her with the same love and respect as Lisa, then you don't deserve to be her life." Alina's face twisted with indignation. "How dare you talk to me like that after everything we've done for you? And I'm Masha's parent," Sergey answered firmly. "And that means it's my job to protect her, even from you." Then I took the floor. "This is what's going to happen. You're going to pack your things and leave our house today. You're not going to stay here, and you're not going to have unsupervised access to Masha anymore." "This is absurd," Alina choked. Peter looked confused. "Son, I think we all need to calm down and discuss this rationally. We made a mistake, but cutting us off from our granddaughter is an overreaction." "It's not just today," I said. "It's every comment, every comparison, every time you made Masha feel inferior. And it stops right now." "I'm getting on a plane," Sergey added over the phone an hour later. "By the time I get there, I expect you'll be gone." Defeated, they began packing their things. "You know, Anna," Alina said to me as we parted, "we always thought Sergey could have found someone better. Now we know we were right." The poison arrow was supposed to hurt, but I just smiled. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing about Grandma and Grandpa Masha. They left with doors slamming and tires screeching. I went up to Masha's room and found her sitting on the bed with a stuffed rabbit. "Did Grandma and Grandpa leave because of me?" she asked quietly. I sat down next to her, holding her close. "No, honey, they left because of their own bad choices. None of this is your fault. Sergey arrived home just after midnight. I met him at the door and fell into his arms, finally allowing myself to cry." "I can't believe they did this," Sergey whispered, his voice rough with emotion. "My own parents, how could they do this to her? We were sitting at the kitchen table on the very floor Masha had been forced to scrub." I recounted everything in detail. The next morning, Masha was overjoyed to see her father at home. We held a family council over breakfast. "Grandma and Grandpa made a very bad choice," Sergey explained, holding Masha's hand. "And when adults make bad choices that hurt children, there have to be consequences." "Like me, when I'm put in the corner?" Masha asked. "Similar, only their corner will be much longer, and they won't be able to spend time with you unless there's another trusted adult around." Later that day, Sergey called his parents. I was sitting next to him when he turned on the speakerphone. "Mom," Sergey began firmly, "I'm calling to make our position crystal clear. What you and your father did was neglect and emotional abuse. You left Masha alone for hours. You treated her worse than Lisa all the time. This is unacceptable and will not happen again. Sergey, you are exaggerating," Peter intervened. Yes, we made a mistake, but all this talk of violence is too much. Too much, Sergei exploded. In love, in devotion, and in how one should treat her, there is no difference. Masha is my daughter in every sense of the word. The conversation quickly deteriorated, and Sergei ended it by repeating our position. No unsupervised contact with Masha. As expected, Petr and Alina began calling relatives, presenting their own, softened version of events. The pressure was strong, but we stood our ground. An unexpected ally was Sergei's brother, Mikhail. He called a week later. Lisa is upset, he said. What really happened, Sergei? Sergei told him everything badly. Oh, my God, Mikhail finally exhaled. I believe you. Lisa mentioned that Masha had to clean up while she played. I'm sorry. Is Masha okay? This conversation became a turning point. Mikhail took our side, correcting false rumors and organizing video calls between cousins. We focused on healing Masha. We found a family psychologist, Dr. Larina, who specializes in adoption issues. In her office, Masha was finally able to express her deepest fears. I was sad and scared, she admitted, clutching her bunny. As if Dad would ever stop loving me, too. Sergei's eyes filled with tears. Never, he whispered furiously. Never in my life. Over time, we learned that the incident we witnessed was just the tip of the iceberg. Masha learned that she deserved less because The first family event after the incident, a school concert, was tense. We stayed close to Masha, avoiding the in-laws. After the concert, there was an awkward conversation. Alina was silent, and Peter awkwardly praised Masha's performance. She cowered against my side, her confidence gone. Grandma's still mad at me, she said later in the car. She's not mad at you, honey, Sergei assured her. She's mad at the situation and at adult things you don't need to worry about. Weeks passed, then months. We maintained our boundaries, allowing short, controlled encounters. Peter seemed to make an effort, but Alina remained cold. The most unexpected thing was how the bond between Masha and Lisa strengthened, free from the toxic influence of favoritism. 6 months passed. The breakthrough happened unexpectedly during lunch at a restaurant. When Masha and I returned from the restroom, Alina suddenly addressed her directly. I owe you an apology, she said, her voice shaking. What we did was wrong, so wrong. I should never have left you alone, and I should never have said those hurtful things about you not being family. Masha looked at her grandmother in surprise. Why did you do that? She finally asked, with a childish primness. I think I was holding on to old-fashioned ideas about what a family is, Alina replied. I was wrong. Family is not blood, it's love. And your dad loves you very much, which means you're just as much an Orlova as Lisa. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was a start. That conversation marked a turning point. Alina began seeing a psychologist. Petr began to build a more active relationship with Masha. Sergei's relationship with his parents changed forever, but there was hope for reconciliation. On the 1-year anniversary of that terrible day, we celebrated Masha's 10th birthday. She was surrounded by people who appreciated her for who she was. Looking at her, I reflected on the painful path we had taken. The day I found Masha alone, scrubbing the floors, was one of the most terrifying moments of my life, but its consequences are the boundaries we set. Therapy and difficult conversations ultimately strengthened our family in ways I never imagined. Masha now knew for sure that she was loved, protected, and worth fighting for. We refused to accept the unacceptable. We protected our daughter when she couldn't protect herself, and in doing so, we taught her the most important lesson of all. Love is not blood or biology. It's choice, commitment, and unwavering support.